Congrats! You just stumble upon this horror movie from 2009 called The Collector, while your phone battery has a 7 in it. This million-dollar budget movie grosses tens of millions worldwide upon release, earning a high 7.3 rating from tens of thousands of viewers. The director of this movie is Marcus Dunstan, the writer of Saw. He originally plans to make it a prequel to Saw, but the producers quickly reject his idea. In the end, he has to turn the script into a standalone story. The story starts with an ordinary couple. When they get home one day, they unexpectedly find a red box out of nowhere in their bedroom. Roy instantly gets curious and reaches out to open it. The scene cuts to our main character, Arkin, making his appearance. On the surface, he is an honest renovator working hard at Michael's house every day. But secretly, he is an experienced habitual thief. Working at Michael's house is just a way to scope out the place so he can easily steal their wealth later. After confirming that Michael will take his family on a trip tonight, he starts his burglary plan that very evening. Before long, Arkin successfully sneaks into the villa. Relying on the layout he memorized while working earlier, he quickly finds the safe. But just as he prepares to crack the code, the sound of a door opening suddenly comes from downstairs. Arkin thinks Michael's family is back early. He quickly puts the room back in order, planning to slip out the way he came. But to his absolute surprise, someone has installed 4 iron locks on the front door, and they are all styles he has never seen before. With nowhere to go, he can only return to the second floor, planning to crack the safe's code first. But just then, Michael's agonizing cries of distress suddenly come from the ventilation shaft. Arkin instantly realizes that there is actually another thief in this villa. He does not dare to overthink it and quickly rushes into a room to hide. But the next second, a heavily injured Michael gets thrown inside, bumping right into Arkin, who is hiding there. Michael mistakenly thinks Arkin is the one who hurt him and grabs a nearby golf club to attack him. But before Michael can even make a move, a dark figure suddenly appears and drags him out. Seeing this, Arkin wants to climb out the window to escape, but finds out the window has already been fatally pinned with wooden boards. What is even more terrifying is that the phone on the table actually has silver needles installed inside it. As soon as he picks it up, the needles pierce straight into his ear. In a panic, he reaches out to pry the window open again, but accidentally triggers the blades on it. Excruciating pain instantly spreads throughout his entire body. Fortunately, Arkin has strong willpower. He grits his teeth and pulls his hand out without a sound. He has no choice but to look for an exit elsewhere, only to find the living room filled with sharp wires where the slightest carelessness will cause him to get cut. Huge bear traps are also placed on the floor leading to the kitchen. Arkin can only bypass them carefully and then walks into the basement to see if there is another way out here. But to his surprise, he actually sees Michael tied to a chair in the basement. At this time, Michael's face is covered in blood and there is not a single uninjured spot on his body. Even so, he still worries about his wife and daughter, begging Arkin to save them. To get Arkin to help, he even gives out the safe's combination and says there is a pistol inside for self-defense. But Arkin does not agree immediately after hearing this, and instead turns around and walks into another room. In this room, he finds Michael's wife, who is also trapped. Her hands and feet are tightly tied, and her eyes and mouth are also sealed with tape. Arkin quickly rips the tape off her mouth and comes up with a bold idea. He wants the woman to scream loudly to attract the other thief's attention, while he takes the opportunity to go upstairs and get the pistol from the safe. The plan seems perfect, but when Arkin opens the safe and takes out the pistol, he finds out there is actually not a single bullet inside. Just then, there is suddenly some noise coming from the nearby cabinet. Arkin thinks Michael's daughter is hiding inside, so he quickly opens the cabinet door, only to find there is actually a red box inside too. This leaves Arkin completely confused. But curiosity still drives him to open this box. Soon, a man rushes out of the box. He is actually Roy, the one who opens the red box at the beginning of the story. Ever since he went missing that day, this house is bought by Michael. In addition to this, Arkin also learns that the collector has a twisted hobby of collecting live people. He locks the people he takes a liking to in red boxes, while the remaining people are brutally terminated. Just then, footsteps come from a distance. Arkin quickly stuffs Roy back into the cabinet and then walks to the hallway to observe the collector's movements. Seeing that he didn't go upstairs, he breathed a sigh of relief. Then he continues to look for an escape route. Finally, Arkin finds an open window. He walks over without even thinking, only for his shoes to be firmly stuck by the yellow liquid on the floor the next second. A black cat nearby is also trapped here. To make matters worse, Arkin accidentally knocks over the books on the table in a panic. The loud noise instantly attracts the collector's attention. He immediately walks toward the second floor. Fortunately, Arkin takes off his shoes in time and jumps onto the bed. He also wants to save the trapped black cat, but because he uses too much force, he accidentally throws it against the window. Soon, Arkin hears footsteps. He quickly covers his shoes with books, then hides under the covers to secretly watch the collector walk over. Fortunately, the collector does not notice any abnormalities, thinking the noise just now is all made by the black cat. Arkin knows his chance has come, so he quickly grabs 2 pins, preparing to go to the basement to save Michael and his wife. But when he arrives at the basement, he finds that Michael, who is alive just now, has already turned into a cold corpse. Left with no choice, Arkin can only rescue Michael's wife first and think of another way later. But just as they are about to leave, the woman accidentally steps on the blood on the floor and finally sees her mutilated husband. Overwhelming fear instantly breaks this woman. Ignoring Arkin's attempts to stop her, she runs like crazy toward the basement exit. As a result, she runs straight into the arriving collector, who inflicts multiple injuries on her, causing her to tumble down the stairs. By this time, Arkin is already hiding under the table, waiting for the collector to drag the woman into the inner room. He quickly runs to a window, trying to pry open the nailed wooden boards with brute force. But just then, the sound of a car horn suddenly comes from outside. Arkin sees Michael's older daughter preparing to enter the house with her boyfriend. Arkin wants to warn them not to come in, but the glass soundproofing is too good for the two to hear anything, so they open the door and walk right inside. They have no idea that the collector is already crouching nearby with a dagger, waiting for them. As soon as the two enter the house, they eagerly start making out, completely oblivious to the danger inside. It is not until the woman happens to turn her head that she spots the collector watching them from the shadows. Terrified, she quickly hides behind her boyfriend. But he had no intention of sparing them. He raised his dagger and stabbed the man straight in the arm. Right after that, he kicks the man into the room filled with bear traps. Then he pinned the woman against the wall. In a panic, the woman managed to call the police, but unfortunately, before she could say a word, he dragged her into the living room. Taking this opportunity, Arkin runs to the second floor and successfully pries off the wooden boards blocking the window with a screwdriver. But he does not escape right away, instead using an alarm clock to distract the collector. Then Arkin quietly sneaks up to the woman and rescues her. But by this time, the woman has completely broken down mentally, mistakenly thinking Arkin is also the collector's accomplice. Terrified, she backs up repeatedly and even grabs a pair of scissors nearby to defend herself. However, she accidentally triggers another trap set by the collector, leaving her fatally pinned to the wall by a flying nail. Arkin watches this scene and feels a deep sense of helplessness. He has no choice but to return to the second floor, planning to escape with Roy inside the red box. But unexpectedly, Roy's feet are already tightly bound with iron chains by the collector. Left with no choice, Arkin abandons this idea, smashes the glass in front of him with a single punch, and escapes alone. But the story is far from over here, because just as Arkin is about to run to the main gate, he suddenly remembers that Michael's younger daughter is still trapped inside, and as a father himself, he instantly feels a pang of compassion. After hesitating for a moment, he ultimately decides to turn back and save her. Fearing discovery by the collector, Hannah is constantly looking for a place to hide, but she ends up accidentally bumping right into him. With nowhere to run, Hannah is finally cornered at the stairs by the collector. Right at this critical moment, Arkin returns just in time and knocks the collector to the ground with a single punch. Then he quickly picks up Hannah and hides inside a nearby room. Arkin knows that hiding forever is not a solution, and only by completely killing the collector outside will he and Hannah have a chance to escape this villa. So he plans to use the bathtub in front of him and the nearby television to set up a deadly trap. But to their surprise, the collector seems to have seen through their plan long ago. The moment the door opens, he throws Roy from the red box inside first, perfectly disarming the trap. Arkin has no choice but to run away with Hannah again. Only he accidentally runs into a room filled with fishhooks. The hooks instantly pierce his entire body. Excruciating pain washes over him. But Arkin still grits his teeth and pulls the hooks out one by one. He also unexpectedly finds a chute leading to the basement nearby. He quickly sends Hannah down. He stays behind to fight the collector. But because his hand is already injured, he cannot use his full strength at all, and in the end, the collector knocks him unconscious. After an unknown amount of time, Arkin wakes up in intense pain and finds himself hanging up. But he didn't beg for forgiveness. Instead, he yelled at the collector, Kill him. Hearing this, to satisfy his request, the collector takes a hammer from his toolkit and smashes it down onto his teeth. Then, still not satisfied, the collector brutally cuts open Arkin's belly with a knife and places a jar full of cockroaches over it. Right at this life or death moment, a siren suddenly sounds outside the window, interrupting the collector's actions. The police start searching nearby for the caller's location. An officer walks up to the window and sees the brutally murdered corpse inside. He does not dare to delay and immediately searches around the house for traces of the killer. Just then, the collector slowly walks out from behind a big tree and arrogantly drops his weapon. Seeing this, the officer quickly calls for backup, but an attack dog suddenly leaps out and bites his neck, making him collapse unconscious. Meanwhile, Arkin in the basement endures intense pain as he breaks free from his restraints. Then he lunges forward and the iron hooks behind him instantly tear through his skin. But ignoring the pain, he quickly finds Hannah, who is hiding. But just as they prepare to leave, they are still spotted by the collector outside. The collector walks into the room leading his dog, ready to start a cruel hunting game. Arkin thinks fast and throws a lit paper towel into the iron bucket in front of him. The moment the dog charges over, he slams the bucket over its head. Then he lifts the burning bucket and hurls it at the collector outside the door. The collector grabs a nearby bottle and smashes it against Arkin's head, but Arkin does not back down at all and fights him for a few more rounds. In the end, he kicks the collector into the basement and locks the door immediately. Then he picks up the keys the collector dropped, planning to escape this terrifying villa with Hannah. But when they run to the front door, they realize the key unexpectedly broke into two halves during the fight just now. Just then, the collector also gets up from the ground and blasts open the basement door with his shotgun. He starts searching the room for traces of Arkin and Hannah, but because of his poor eyesight, he mistakes their reflection in the mirror for them. One shot not only shatters the mirror, but also blasts a hole in the door behind it. Seeing this, Arkin quickly pulls a nearby rope, causing a booby-trapped chandelier on the ceiling to instantly crash down onto the collector. But the collector is not crushed to death, and relying on his tenacious vitality, he stumbles out of the villa's main gate. By this time, Arkin is already carrying Hannah to the side of the road and sees a large number of police cars roaring toward them. He hesitates no longer and immediately runs onto the highway to call the police for help. Perhaps because he is in too much of a hurry, he gets hit and sent flying by a speeding police car. Before long, Arkin is lifted onto an ambulance by two medics. But while the ambulance is on its way, the vehicle suddenly flips over and the two doctors die on the spot. Right after that, the collector appears again, knocks Arkin unconscious with a single punch, and packs him into that iconic red box. Finally, the collector drives away in the ambulance, heading to the next location to continue collecting the humans he likes. And that wraps up the entire movie. See you next time.